Here we go. I'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast. And today we're meeting with Kernetha Jones. And I'm just telling you, I've done literally thousands of podcasts, and I've never met a lady like this before. My gracious. I don't even, I won't even try to go ahead and describe her or, give her background. I'll let Kernetha do that. Kernetha, can you tell the audience today, the community today, about yourself so they get to know you?
Okay, number one, I truly love the title of your podcast, Integrity.
Right?
Integrity. That
Voices of integrity. It's like, like there's, it's like there's so many voices today, but they're not. It doesn't seem
integrity.
like they're speaking with integrity,
Well, God told us to be hot or cold.
right?
He said, if they're not speaking with integrity, they're lukewarm. And God said, I will vomit you out.
Right?
So integrity. He said he's dealing with nothing but integrity right now in order to get to the root of the problem with America. You have to be honest. And I'm here to be honest.
Okay, so just so you all know, um, that was the warm up. That's the foreplay. That's the soft gentle. We're beyond that now. And so you know, my wife, if she was listening, she's just going to be shaking her head. It's like there can't be two Mark Borsmans out there. You can't have two people that are just going to be honest. Like it's just dangerous. Like you and I together, Kernetha, are going to be just dangerous. Do you realize that?
Yes, I do. I'm a school teacher. I have a master's in special ed. And I'm telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So, what's the one thing you learned in your master's degree in special education?
Not much of anything.
Oh my
My
goodness. You're a tease. You're just teasing and taunting me now. Like you just like that's every time I have a rule. I have a bunch of rules. You'll get to know those as you get to know me. Um, but one of my rules is that if I find somebody with an advanced degree, a master's or a doctorate, I always ask them the number one thing that they've learned. Because then I can tap into all that education, all the money they put in, and I can learn what they learned in a lot less time with no money. But
okay, well I'll tell you.
I've never heard anybody with a master's degree, especially in education, say what you just did. That is so awesome.
Yes, I'm truthful. It's kind of like those who go to the school of theology, and basically, um, a lot of those schools really kill the person because if
See,
they're not, if it, and I want you to hear me loud and clear. I have to be honest. When I went and got my master's in special ed, we just took classes. Basically, the first 3 years was foundation nothingness to a great extent. My great teaching came when I went into the classroom in the inner city as a special ed, ED, emotionally disturbed behavior disorder teacher. And I sat in the class with the middle school children, and I knew it, I walked in with love, a Christian teacher, a mother from the community that I was in. I didn't come from the suburbs. I didn't come from another state. I didn't come from another background or religion. I came in as one who came up through that school system, who walked around the corner to go to the school to deal with these children who had been totally abused and destroyed as children, and to speak life into them. That school, me going to college did not teach me that. I had to be ordained and called for that. I had to be put in that position by God. I didn't know that it was God who put me in that position until I got much older, because you can't be in teaching for a check. You have to be in there for a calling and a purpose. So when you ask me what did I learn from the institution how to be institutionalized. But what I learned when I went in there, it came from the God that's in me to pour love in my babies and to create not prisoners that the system want to create, but I was creating kings. That's why I was terminated from that school system, because this system does not want kings. They want prisoners. They want to indoctrinate our children. They want to groom our children,
So
and
just
they
to be
don't want
clear,
people like me.
okay, Kernetha is not against college education, just like I'm not. I have 3 bachelor's degrees in business, one in finance, one in management, one in marketing, and I'm not against higher education. Um, I just think it does a lot of damage. And I don't think that people have integrity. I don't think that people that have advanced degrees often there's not integrity in the system.
Thank you.
There's just not. And when Pranitha was talking about, higher education in seminary, there was a very high level college, a very Christian college. And I was talking to the president of that Christian college. And I said, "What's your biggest challenge?" And this is accredited. They're a top school. I won't name the school because I don't want to embarrass anybody. But Kernetha might be more direct than I am, which I love because then I can look like a nice person. But she's the real nice person and being honest, like calling people out. Anyways, I was talking to him and I said, "What's your biggest challenge?" And he said, "Low morale." And I said, "Really?" He had 90 PhDs in theology. And, so these are the ones that are a Christian college seminary teaching our pastors. And he said, low morale. And I said, "Really?" And I remember I had 4 teenagers at the time. And I'm thinking, I have the same issues with my kids. They have low morale. Maybe he can teach me something I don't know. Because I knew why my kids had low morale, because they didn't have perspective. It's why I took my oldest son over to the Gambia, Africa, and my oldest daughter over to Russia. And my next daughter went to Haiti with my wife to give them perspective. And so I said, "Why don't they have, why do they have low morale?" And he said, "Well, we've had some financial stuff that have gone on. We haven't laid anybody off, but, there's been a pay cut of 10% and their hours have gone down and we're 15% understaffed." And I remember thinking, really? Like, here you got all these highly educated people teaching future pastors, and they have low morale. In business, as a business owner, I've had clients that their income has dropped by 90% and they've doubled the number of hours they're working. They don't have low morale. Why? Because in business, you have low morale, you die. You just do. But in education or in the ministry, you have low morale and it's somebody else's issue. It's not taking ownership of that. And so again, you're probably, if you're a pastor, and Kernetha, you're a minister, right? Are you ordained?
Yeah. Yes, I'm a minister.
So if you're in education or you're a pastor and you're on a podcast with Kernetha and myself, you're probably going to be offended. So I just want to give you some words of advice. Write this down. This is important. Jim Bontrager shared it with me. Is God offends the mind to reveal the heart. Write it down. God offends the mind to reveal your heart. And I have a feeling that Kernetha has a wonderful spiritual gift, and that is offending your mind. I'm just saying. I'm just saying it's a beautiful spiritual gift. I might have that. My wife, says I'm a acquired taste. Like, but like she and I are sisters. It's like we're twins. Like I get her heart. It's like, why can't you be honest? Why can't we have honest conversations about education or about the church or about pastors? Like, why can't we have honest conversations? And my
Um,
dad, my dad was a pastor and a missionary. So I grew up as a pastor's kid, missionaries. So I've seen that whole thing. And I love pastors, want to help them. It's just I don't think people are telling pastors the truth.
Do you want me to respond to that?
You can respond to that, or I apologize for cutting. You just got me so wound up. I got so excited. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a fun podcast.
Yes, yes. You know what? And I don't apologize. We are going to have to get out of the apologizing for the truth. Jesus said, I'm coming back, but I'm not coming back to bring kissy kissy and hugs hugs. I'm coming back with a sword. I'm coming back to divide. I'm coming back to judge. So God said, if you judge righteously now, I won't have to judge you. But God tells us in his word, he said, be bold, be fearless, and be courageous. He said, I'm sending you out there as sheep among wolves. Come on now. What does a wolf do to a little sheep? He rips it apart and he kills it. So be prepared to get the pushback. I don't care about that. It's listen to me. If I don't speak up for those babies who are being aborted, if I don't speak up for those truckloads of dead babies, heads cut off that they found in Mexico, and they said some of them on the west side of Chicago, and they're all over America. If I don't speak up against abortion, if I don't speak up against homosexuality, you all are afraid to say LGBTQ, and I put P for pedophile at the end. I included that because God is telling us if you don't speak up, if you're afraid to stand for me, I will not stand for you. So we're going to have to stand up. And unfortunately, the people, and sometimes you call it the school of whatever, we call it sometimes the school of cemetery because the people come out dead after they go there. So you ask me what good did it do? Very little. It gave me a piece of paper so that the government could acknowledge me and give me an opportunity to do that which God put inside of me to do. So he's telling us to be courageous. When I come against and say we're going to shut down the education mountain, we're going to stop the people from transgendering our children in preschool on up, aborting our children, our grandchildren from 17 and under without the parents' knowledge or permission. The government has taken our children. And I told you, I said, I'm telling my Caucasian family, you all are the new Negroes. Don't sit back and be comfortable because
Right.
they are transgendering your children now. They're mutilating their body. They're cutting off their sex organs without your permission. They're taking you and giving you the COVID injection that's causing so many complications in people's lives right now. So we're going to have to stand up and tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So
So
help me
what I
God.
want to do is I want to get your personality. I think I have an idea, but I'm going to do something fun here. And which of these four shapes, Kernetha, would you tend to like the most? A cube, a pyramid, or wavy line or ball? A cube, a pyramid, a wavy line or ball?
I do love the pyramid because it goes back to my to history.
Nice. And after
And
that, a cube, a wavy line, or a ball?
a cube
And then
a
after
ball,
that,
a ball is good because I like a ball because that's showing God's creation.
so which one after the pyramid? A cube, a wavy line, or a ball?
Cube, wavy line. Well, a cube and a wavy line really didn't do too much for me.
Gotcha. Okay. So you got the pyramid, the ball, and then after the ball, the cube or the wavy line.
I would say the wavy line.
Gotcha. And then which of these four things would cause you the most frustration in any area of your life? Which should cause you most frustration in any area of your life? Things not being done properly in order, out of control, boring or not fun, or conflict with others. Again, out of order, out of control, boring or not fun, or conflict with others.
Out of control.
And then after that, out of order, boring or not fun, or conflict with others.
Conflict with others.
Then after that, out of order or boring or not fun.
Out of order.
Gotcha. So, Kernetha, between these two tests as a personality test. Between these two tests, there's 65,536 possible combinations. You test out as a very complex personality. Did you know that?
Yep.
And so in both tests, you test out as a driver personality as your primary. So maybe one of your greatest strengths might be your drive, your assertiveness, you make things happen.
Yeah, I think that my calling, my daughter told me, the one who did the movie, she told me, she said, Mom, I really can't stand to be around you. And I'm just being serious because I'm coming in the room like, girl, we've got to do this. We've got to change the planet today. Get up. So she told me when I come in, she heard me open the front door, so she closed her bedroom door quietly, so I won't know she's in there. But then later she told me, she said, Mom, the things I don't like about you, I read the gifts and the callings. That's your gift, your calling from God. I'm
Right.
like a motivator.
Right. So in your primary personality, your driver, so one of your greatest strengths might be your drive, assertiveness, you make things happen. You're a truth teller. You go ahead and speak it. You're a seer. You can see things in the past that other people can't see things in the present and see things in the future. So you're a seer, big picture. You're like a prophet. Like you can see, hey, this is what's going to happen in the future. People don't like personalities like yours and mine in that area. Like they just don't. The thing that ticks people off is you and I don't care. Like we don't care if
Oh
they
my
don't like it.
God, you spoke the words that was in on my mouth like we don't care. And it's not that I'm really a prophetess. It's more like I haven't watched the tell a lie television, tell a lie, lie, lie over a decade. So Matthew 24:24 say, if it were possible, he would deceive even the very elect. So since I have not been getting indoctrinated and brainwashed by the main tool that the one world order, the Antichrist, spiritual wickedness, the fork tongued devil is using now. I'm not watching it. So, and I'm teaching Sunday school at another church where I'm teaching it. So I'm in the word all day. So when and we worked on my daughter's movie for 16 years on the coming of Christ that's in Amazon. All of that helps me to better see what the whole picture really is.
So that's your
Deception.
one, that's your primary personality. Your secondary personality in both tests is an amiable. One of your greatest strengths is your concern, compassion for people. And one of your
Amen.
weaknesses is your concern, compassion for people. So our greatest strength is our greatest weakness. And our greatest weakness is our greatest strength misapplied. It's taking a strength and carrying it too far. Now, what's really unusual about your personality, it's unusual that people are a double driver personality, especially women. It's very unusual that you have a double driver and then secondary, a double amiable. So they crisscross. So what that shows us is this type of personality has a lot of inner conflict in that, you know, they're drive driven, but they're caring. So they might run somebody over, apologize for running them over, and then run them over again. That seems a little harsh, Kernetha, but I'm a driver analytic. And people like me even less because I run somebody over and explain why they deserve to be run over. So people really don't like me. Now, if you were a driver wavy line, like my good friend Tom Kuntz, who's the most recent past president of Century 21, he's a driver expressive. I could see you being kind of like this at times. He'll run somebody over, but do it in such a fun, funny, cool way that people like, please, please, Tom, run me over again. I'm like, what? He's a lot meaner than I am. How's he get away with it? So, yeah, you're making my mind spin. Like I just like, oh my goodness. And so you can see here. Well, can you see the screen, Kernetha?
Yes, I can.
So here's the different topics that you and I could do future podcasts on. One is you are special, really special. I think that in today's society, you start off with evolution and you just go ahead and you're not really created to be anything special. You're just evolved into nothing, like from nothing to nothing. Well, that's going to mess up somebody like they're not that special. Understanding Like, I think if people understood who their creator was and what they were created to do, something nobody else in the 8 billion people were created to do. I think if we could help kids understand that they were created special to do something special, oh, would that be cool? So that's one podcast. Another podcast is podcasts with interesting people. And then there's podcasts for entrepreneurs with entrepreneurs, podcasts with business owners. Then there's podcasts with women, podcasts with young women, podcasts with men, young men, podcasts for marriages. Here's one podcast for pastors. We might put this one in that category. Do you know why, Kernetha, we'd put that one in that category?
Podcast for pastors.
Yeah, podcasts with pastors.
So why did we put it in which category?
Like we might put this one in that cat. I can't get any pastors to do podcasts with me, Kernetha.
Well, you know what? Because right now, I'm coming at them hard because God put them over this planet. He gave the church dominion. He said, I will allow what you will allow. And because a lot of these pastors are sleeping dogs, and it's a scripture that says that they don't want it, they've been bought off with the 501c3. That's called hush money. And as I'm reading my Sunday school books, that's what the publicans were. Matthew was. They hated him because the government paid them off to keep the Jewish people in line. It paid off the Jewish leaders, the Pharisees, the Sadducees. They were sad, you see. They were very sad. And that's why they hated them so, the Jewish people, because you getting money from the government to oppress and hold us down. And we're dealing with the same thing today. They've been bought off, many of them. And listen, God said in his word, the group that's going to hell, the fearful, coward, and the unbeliever in Revelation, along with the liars and the whores and all that other kind of stuff. But the ones he put first, a coward, fearful, and unbeliever, gonna bust hell wide open. And unfortunately, a lot of pastors are hirelings.
See,
They've
this
been
is what's
bought off.
interesting, Kernetha. It's so intriguing. I mean, I'm a son of a pastor and a missionary. I know people, pastors, literally who know thousands of pastors, and they are terrified of doing a half an hour podcast. I'm like, hey, you want to do it? And you're like, sure. But most pastors, it's like, well, what are we going to say? What's going to happen? Where is it going to go? It's like they have no faith. And it's like, it's just weird. Anyways, another one is podcast for addictions, podcast for outliers, podcast with police and law enforcement. That's another group. Man, if you know anybody in police and law enforcement, I'd love to do podcasts with them. Podcasts with legacy partners, podcasts for mental health, podcasts with Amish, podcasts for passions, podcasts for parents and families, podcasts for white males over 50, podcasts with veterans and military, podcasts with public servants, podcasts for camp and world impact, podcasts for comedy, podcasts for personalities, podcasts for clean windows. There's a lot of podcasts out here, and I have a feeling, Kernetha, that you and I might do podcasts in a number of these different categories. You are passionate. I love that. You're willing to
Yeah.
tell the truth. I love
Yes.
that. You're fearless. I love that. So if you're listening to the rebroadcast of this and you have any questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate in this. Pass this along. I'm telling you, pass this along to other people because it's going to challenge, it's going to challenge people's minds. And I love what Pranitha said, that it's like, if we don't do our own judging, if we don't go ahead and figure out how to challenge, judge, whatever you want to call it, then God's going to do it. Do you want to do it before or after? Do you want, it's just interesting. If you have any other questions, connect with the individual who invited you to participate, or you can call toll free 888-230-2300, outside the US 630-393-9909. And always remember, we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.